everybody, and welcome to another live session here with Dream Data. I'm super excited today to welcome Robin, who's the VP of Revenue Marketing, as I recall it, at G2. And I think if you've been following us people at Dream Data, it's quite clear that we're pretty big G2 fans. I think we've dipped our toes in different tactics, how to use G2 and the data that G2 provides. Some has worked, some has not worked. And I'm going to share my failures with Robin here today, and she can maybe consult me with what went wrong in this case. But it's basically just thought of as a very practical session about how marketers can act on G2 data and the intent data provided. But before all of this, Robin, maybe you can just explain people a little bit about your background and what you're doing today at G2.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan. This is fun. I've never been on a LinkedIn Live, so this is a new thing. I'm Robin. Thank you so much for inviting me to chat. I'm the VP of Revenue Marketing at G2, like you mentioned. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York, with my husband and two little kids who are kind of rad. And yeah, I guess I joined G2 as a big fan and power user, kind of like you are at Dream Data. Yeah. I really worked that every piece of G2 that I could in my last role with a SaaS company called Better Cloud. So yeah, I joined not really looking for a job, but because it was G2 and I was such a fan and I really believe in all of G2's marketing solutions. So I joined. And I'm leading the team that has responsibility for demand generation, digital, marketing operations and analytics, and pretty much, all the levers that we have to kind of generate quality pipeline and revenue for the business, not only for new business, but for expansion as well. And, it's funny because having joined as someone very familiar with G2, I kind of assumed that all B2B like tech marketers know about G2 and buyer intent. But now that I'm here, and I've been here for about a year and 10 months or something, I'm learning that most people still really do think of G2 as a review platform where you come and you list your product or your service and start generating reviews. But really, it's the kind of buyer intent that can be so powerful in helping you really move the needle as far as some of your demand strategy goes.
Yeah, and just a note for you guys listening, just treat it as you're part of the conversation. So on LinkedIn, if you chat, me and Robin will be able to see the questions as well, and we'll pull them in as we go along. But maybe Robin, maybe you can just go a little bit deeper into kind of this distinction between just for people to really understand what's the difference. I think I also initially we just started collecting reviews on G2 because it makes sense to build social proof from happy customers. And it was only later that we started thinking about, should we actually try to look at what it is that they sell? So maybe you can describe what is actually the product per se that you can buy from G2 besides the review platform.
Yeah. Maybe I'll take a step back and explain kind of my own experience as a customer previously. I joined a company called Better Cloud, running their growth marketing team. And I remember one of the first things I did was I Googled, SaaS management platforms, things that were in our space, just to see what comes up. And the first organic search result that came up was the G2 category page for SaaS management operations, platforms, whatever. And so I was like, whoa. So I clicked through and I landed on the category page, and I could see some of our competitors were looking pretty good. We were not looking that great. It looked like our profile hadn't been updated in a long time. It was just kind of sad. So the first thing I did was I got access to our page on G2. I started updating the messaging, the screenshots, and then started talking with the folks at G2, and they were like, why don't you just try to get some review, campaigns off the ground? We can help you. So we started to become more intentional about that. And then as we improved our kind of position in the category with a lot of happy user reviews and things like that, and just really kind of upgrading our banner to have like an explainer video and custom calls to action and uploading our own content, because we were creating a ton of content, but it was like, why isn't it being updated on our G2 page, which is in some ways like probably getting more traffic than our website. So that was kind of the light bulb moment for me, that I really started to see G2 as a channel, and almost in a way better than our website, because our users were speaking for us, and we could upload content and all kinds of things. So from there, I was poking around in the back end, my.g2.com. So anyone on this session that has admin access to their G2 page can log in, and you can see the integration hub. And that's where I started to become very curious, like, wait a minute, we already use Marketo. What's this? We already use Salesforce. We already use Slack, at that Uberflip, these types of tools. And so I became really curious about what are these integrations and what could I be doing with them? And that's when I learned about buyer intent, which, at the highest level is G2 can show you the companies that are looking at your category on G2, or looking at your profile page, or comparing you to your competitors, which is huge. And then you can take that data and power, like Marketo lead scoring, for example, sales loft or outreach, cadences from your BDR team. You can build dashboards in Salesforce, although I'm curious about what you could build in Dream Data also. But just such rich integrations that and what is intent data? It's the signals that help us understand who's in market for a solution like the one that we're selling. So it's like, these are my best bets. These are people that I want to reach. LinkedIn matched audiences. We were already spending a bunch of money on LinkedIn advertising. Now we could automatically retarget everyone who had been looking at us on G2 or looking at our category. So it was really, really huge. It was like the light bulb moment.
It was a big light bulb for sure, and it's extremely interesting. Do you have any idea of, or kind of G2? When does it appear in the buyer's journey? I don't know if you guys have data on it, or in your opinion, when is it, when they start making a list of vendors, or is it when they have to choose between 2 or 3 vendors, or when is it that people look at G2?
So because we are G2 and we have, hundreds of thousands of products listed on G2 and services, and because we have thousands of categories, you can imagine the amount of data that we have. It's pretty insane. And we do see over 6.5 million visits to G2 per month worldwide. That's per month, not per year. So it's a lot. So we do have tons of data, but I like to remind people that we're also just kind of humans. And if you think about your own journey, where you start like, man, we need a better, attribution solution, or I think we're ready to upgrade from HubSpot to something else, or whatever it is. If you're in IT or you're in HR looking for recruitment software, the journey usually starts with Google. You start poking around, and because G2 has so much SEO power and we rank so high, it's often those category pages that are getting a ton of traffic. And then once someone is in the category page, of course, they're going to start comparing, like, Monday to Asana, to Trello, to Wrike, and reading reviews. So it's usually pretty early on in the buyer's journey. And that's why we recommend for people that are using our intent data, if it's a category view, why don't you consider serving something a little more top of funnel? If you've turned on the LinkedIn integration, for example, try serving something that's a bit more educational, thought leadership on the category. If it's someone comparing you to your competitors, like if I work on the Asana team and someone's comparing me to Monday, I would definitely want to lean in and run some ads and some campaigns that are, why Asana? How do we beat Monday, Trello, and Reich, for example? And if it's someone looking at our page, then it's also kind of middle of the funnel. At Better Cloud, we would often serve kind of funny, like, it's been a minute since you checked us out on G2, and we would bring them to a landing page that had educational content, but also demo requests. So we would generate a lot of demo requests that way.
Oh, super nice. And actually, I just remember, like, whenever I talk to startups nowadays about how to start with marketing, I always advise people to, like, start with the people who are in market right now and make sure you cover that. And for me, that there's kind of three things you can do if you're software. There's the search ads, and then there's the SEO results. Then there's app marketplaces, so HubSpot's marketplace or other places. And then the last thing is just review platforms, and particularly G2. Those things you just need to turn on, because that's where you at least can catch the people who are in market right now. And then you can worry about demand creation, demand generation later on, but make sure you appear where people are actively trying to find a vendor.
Yeah, I love that. That is really like checklist of things you should just be doing automatically. And I think a lot of people don't know this, but G2 reviews are actually syndicated on the AWS marketplace. So if you're looking at software on the AWS marketplace and you see all the reviews, those are powered and syndicated by G2.
I didn't know that, actually. So there's this bucket of intent data, and now, because I know there's a little bit difference, and you just mentioned it, maybe you can just mention the different types of intent signals that there is. You can be viewed on a category level. You have your own page, so if people visit that one, and then there's if you are compared with other vendors. Then there's one that is called you appeared in sponsored content or something like that. Am I missing anyone there, Robin?
No, I think that's it. It's category views. So like I explained, when I was at Better Cloud, when I did my own Google search for SaaS management platforms, and the G2 category showed up first in search results, I clicked through, landed on the category page, and that's where all the solutions are listed. So if you do have a product on G2, and you're now thinking to yourself, I wonder if somebody has updated it in a while, or maybe we don't have one. The first thing to do is just add your product or service. Go to g2.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there you'll see something that says add a product or service. And what happens is our research team will get that and make sure that it's valid, and then think about how to categorize the product or the service, and then publish. So that's the first thing to do. If you're already on there, awesome. Then just make sure that things are looking good, categorized properly, because those category views get so much organic traffic. And then to answer your question, then it's views of your own page. So someone landed on Dream Data's profile on G2, you can get those signals. Or someone's comparing you to who's in your category, Stefan? Visible?
Yeah, that would be visible, for example.
Visible, okay.
What used to be visible.
What used to be, now part of Marketo, I guess. But I mean, if I'm Dream Data, and I know you're great at this, I would want to be grabbing all that intent and aggressively going after people that are looking at the category, looking at visible. I think for some smaller companies and companies that are a little earlier in their journey, some people think, well, all I care about is my profile. That's all I only care about profile views. And I'm always like, no, dude, it's like the category, don't you want to market to people that are looking at the category? Don't you want to especially look at people that are comparing you to your competitors? If you focus on nothing else for like let's say 6 to 9 months to a year, and you say, you know, I really, again, using the Asana example, I really want to take down Monday and Trello.
Yeah.
You know, you could definitely power that campaign with G2 intent data and probably crush it.
Yeah, I think there's also a good point in what you said a little bit before, was that the different signals you should think about, kind of the tactical, where do you go from here? Because looking at the category is not as close to, or as not as considering you as somebody who's looking at your profile. So messaging and creatives need to be considered related to what is it that we know that the buyer did.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And that's, you know, talk about our jobs as art and science. There's the art, just being a marketer and thinking about, you know, what would cut through the noise, what would resonate with me as a human being.
Yeah.
And then do your best work. And if you don't have a, you know, ton of resources and a big design team, go get Canva, go get Unbounce, and create some amazing looking landing pages that it's like cheap and cheerful, and you can really become very intentional and curated about the type of offers and messaging that you're putting in front of people that are looking at the category, as opposed to comparing you to, you know, Visible or Monday or Trello.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just recalled another way I'm using, we're using G2 right now, is that I'm using, okay, I can show it on my screen just in a second, but we're using it as a retargeting. So if people have been on the Dream Data website and then they go to LinkedIn, I run a conversation ad where I say, would you actually want a demo of Dream Data? Yes. And if they say no, I say that's just fine. But if you have the slightest interest in what we do, then I point them towards our G2 page. Because I know if they go to our G2 page, then we'll build some social proof and we'll have more intent data to work with. So the salespeople can see that these people are actually paying attention. Let me just try. I'll show it to you here. Let's show you the whole.
That's a great idea. I love that.
And because also like the G2 badge is also a pretty well-known thing. So it's sent from Laura from our team here. So it says, thanks for visiting our team. At Dream that we work with B2B SaaS companies like company name. And then if you write yes, you get prompt a demo form. If you write no, it says here, that's totally okay. If you're just a bit curious about what we do, you can just go and take a look at our G2 reviews. And then if you click that, you go to the G2 page, we build some social proof, and then people know, and we know that the person actually went onwards to look at the G2 page. So there's,
brilliant.
There's a million ways you can use this, but this was one of the ones that I feel worked out well. I wanted the one I just explained to you before we went live that doesn't seem to work as of now, is that I took the category page views and then ran similar style conversation ads towards. I think the problem with this is that I don't know specifically who from the company was on the G2 category. So writing a personal note to that person, the likelihood of me hitting the right person is not big enough. So inspired from what you just said before, maybe I should go softer and more top of funnel with just videos, images, etc., to retarget that intent.
Yeah, I think that would be a great play. It's true, the intent data is at the account or the company level, not at the individual level. So in this case with category, yeah, I would, if you do want to go the the conversation ads, which I think is a really cool idea, it's probably best to soften that message and we have workarounds like, someone on your team, or, seems like there could be interest in an attribution platform.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can be pretty cheeky and funny about it because we are using our own intent. So we'll actually lean in and be like our own intent data to know that, you folks appear to be in market for something like this and have some fun with it. But I think it's an opportunity to really think about,
if you don't want to do
your
it, if you don't do it the automated way, there's actually another workaround is that you can actually see the location of the intent as well. So if you can find the company and the person on LinkedIn that is in the city where the intent was expressed, and they have the right title as well, then you can just manually. We've sent several just G2 screenshots saying, was this you or something like that?
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. I mean, I would like to see how that works. I think that could either go horribly wrong or it could be really cool.
I think the verdict, it's still the verdict is still out.
Yeah,
Seems I just lost Robin for a second here. Now it seems that you're back again, Robin.
Yeah, I got a message that said there's like streaming problems on one of the connections. So sorry about that.
Things work again now. But okay, now I shared a few tactics. What are kind of some of the, I don't know if you can call them classic best practices, or some of the things that you guys have been doing that has worked well when you've been acting on this intent data?
Yeah, I'd say we have a product called G2 Track that is actually not really targeted to marketers. We're targeting an IT and finance audience. And we've been using our own intent data to, really retarget people that are in market for a solution like G2 Track. And one thing that I did, I can share my screen actually. Let me try sharing the window. Let's see what happens.
I click enable here. Oof, now you're there.
Okay, so I'm sharing my Slack. Actually, this is live data, so I have a feeling people at G2 are going to get mad at me for this. But this is our own.
Right now, we're seeing your restream window.
Oh, you're not seeing. Hold on. You're not seeing my Slack.
No, it's the browser right now.
Okay. Let me try one more time.
Okay, maybe share the whole screen. Maybe then you can.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see Slack?
Maybe. Yeah. I just need. Now I can. Yes.
Okay.
I'll stop them.
So we have a Slack integration turned on for our buyer intent. This is like one of my favorite integrations for anyone using Slack. And then there's 21 people in this channel, and they're a lot of our BDRs and SDRs and sales. And you can see this is a buyer intent signal from Waterstones. I think, is this a bookshop, a chain of bookstores in England, I think? But this is. And so if you click the page G2, you actually come to, this is now my G2 experience. You can see that here's the buyer activity. This is when it was, this is what they looked at. And you can also see, like in here, I have Cognizant powered. This shows me recommended people to reach out to at Waterstones. And I have it set up so we're looking at our IT people, their IT people, their purchasing people, because that's our target audience for Track. And then I can even see their stack data. So I can see what they already have, what they're using. So,
super nice.
And the reason I'm pointing this out, and let me stop sharing my screen, is because you asked what are some tactics and kind of strategies that are working for us as we really start to market and go to market with G2 Track. This channel, this Slack channel that our BDRs are in, they can immediately action and go after the people at the particular account with really targeted messaging based on their stack data, based on all kinds of things, and get them to a demo. And we've only been doing this for about a month now, maybe a month and a half. And we're already seeing that buyer intent is our second most powerful, like, pipe generating channel for G2 Track.
Nice.
So I love it because you can see the intent signals coming in real time. And then I often will tag, Troy, who's the head of the BDR, to be like, did you see this?
I do the same
it's
things.
Also great. Yeah, right. And it works. I mean, is it really like the way that we operationalize in scale? Like, no, it's not the Slack integration. I love it because of the immediacy and because it's where people actually collaborate. Like, they're not now forced to go look in some widget in Salesforce that, it's not realistic to think salespeople will ever use. So it's kind of where people are already collaborating and they can action quickly, while we're also retargeting these accounts with ads on LinkedIn, and then we use Rollworks for display. So we are providing air cover in that sense also.
I think I'll go straight after this to build that Slack integration as well. We've set it up now that whenever a review comes in, we feed it directly in so all employees can see it as well. But I can definitely see it making sense for the salespeople actually to see it like almost real time. That I guess you can manipulate what it pushes then based on whether it looks like your ideal customers as well.
Yeah. So when you set up the Slack integration, which you should do immediately, beware, it's addicting. Once it's on, it's addicting. But on the G2 side, when you set up the integration, you can upload a list of your target accounts so that you can only receive signals for your target accounts. You can do by region, you can do by company size. So I personally like to just pull it all in and go big at first, and then I'll tailor it back, or I'll set up separate Slack channels for like EMEA versus APAC versus North America. And so you do have that flexibility. And then if you're doing ABM, you can target account lists that you upload into the G2 Slack integration when you turn it on.
That makes sense. Is it actually the buyers of G2? Is that mainly marketers, or is it sales teams? Because it clearly appeals to both parties, but I don't know if there's one or the other that is more the typical user.
It's typically marketing, but we have an integration with ZoomInfo Sales OS, which is a place where salespeople live, and LinkedIn Sales Navigator, where salespeople live. So I feel like it's often marketing teams that might be buying buyer intent and assessing buyer intent, but then the savviest ones will power their sales team through LinkedIn Sales Navigator, through ZoomInfo Sales OS, through Cognism, which you saw in my Slack instance, which is really powerful for EMEA. So I think savvy sales folks that are looking to prospect into accounts where there's G2 intent showing will win, no doubt. And then we're also using it even for existing customer accounts. So our CSMs and RMs will use it, because if you're seeing one of your customers is comparing you to some of your competitors, that could be a signal of churn. So we use it in that case also.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are some of the other marketing tactics that you can go try based on these things?
I'd say, if you're on G2, but you're not using buyer intent and you're interested, go check it out. We can always give folks like a kind of a preview or a sneak peek at their last 30 to 60 days of intent data.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to go. If you're already using buyer intent and you have Slack and you haven't turned on the Slack integration, do it immediately. And have fun with that. And then if you have some of your paid media spend going to LinkedIn, that's a no-brainer. You should be retargeting, in market accounts with your LinkedIn ad campaigns. If you're using display through, we also have integrations with Demandbase and 6 Sense and metadata. So if you're powering, ad campaigns through those platforms, you can also push G2 intent into those platforms also. So I would say just poke around, get educated. If you come to the hub for where all this lives on G2 is called sell.g2.com. It's a little weird because I think most people just come to g2.com. But all the marketing solutions are on sell.g2.com.
Okay.
And you'll see our partner hub and you can see all the integrations and read more. You can request a demo. But the ones, I always tell people, like, if your product's not on G2, get it on, number one. Number two, if it is, make sure it's looking good, that you're using custom calls to action on your profile page, you're doing something cool with your banner, that you're really standing out from your competitors, because you can be sure there's a lot of traffic coming to the category.
Could we take a look at sorry to interrupt, Robin. Could we take a look at one of the vendors that you think have done a really well job on their G2 profile?
Well, shout out to my prior team at Better Cloud. I think they look really good on G2. I think they're doing a great job.
I'll find them here. Better Cloud.
I like Greenhouse. I think they're a recruitment software platform. I think they do a really nice job. There are so many.
I'll just try to bring it up so like we can really just walk it through. So here's, can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yep. There's Greenhouse. I love them.
Oh shit! I have a lot of reviews.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one I hadn't seen before. That's cute.
Mm-hmm. And some people who use Chili Piper are also using our integration, and this is not a buyer intent integration. This is available if you have our essential package. And if you're using Chili Piper, you can add Chili Piper to your profile page. So folks can book a meeting directly with whoever you set up, however you set up your routing in Chili Piper from your G2 profile, which is really kind of powerful and cool. So where it says get started, that could be a book a meeting call to action, and that can be powered by Chili Piper. And then if you scroll down, like you'll see they have uploaded so many videos and pieces of content that are gated. So you can use this for lead gen also.
Yeah. And then, this looks really nice as well.
And HubSpot is another great example. They use G2 really, really well. And I think they're even using G2 deals. So I could be wrong, but if you come to the HubSpot page, they're offering a deal. So if you look at their pricing, doesn't it blow your mind?
Tough to compete against. So they have, there's claim offer here. Yeah, I see.
Yes. So they're using G2 deals, so you can get an offer on HubSpot directly. That's a really cool thing that we do.
Yeah, I didn't know that actually.
And one thing I forgot to mention, Stefan, is we just released a buyer intent signal for the pricing page. So you see how HubSpot has pricing?
Yeah.
So
that's a strong signal.
If they're using our buyer intent, which they are, they'll probably receive a signal that someone just looked at their pricing page.
Yeah, that's a really strong signal. And when people are reading reviews and also pricing.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Robin, is there anything else people should know about how to use G2 that you think we haven't touched upon yet?
I'd say think about it as a channel. It really is powerful whether you're a customer marketer, a product marketer, a demand gen marketer. Sometimes it does take, to be really successful with G2, you might want to just get a few key stakeholders aligned at your company and say, this is it. This is the year we really nail G2 and start standing out against our competition and telling a great story and using it as an extension of our website. So I would do that. And then I would say, just have fun with it. I mean, think about your messaging, think about how you stand out, and create kind of a virtuous cycle of engagement using your own user reviews and the voice of your customer, putting like cool content up, and it doesn't have to be fancy. I mean, you've seen my sort of lo-fi videos that I just do in Canva. Do the things, market like it's your own business, and G2 can be a really powerful part of that story.
Yeah. And I would say, it's the way to start getting reviews is talking to your customers, writing to your customers, ask them if they want to give you a review of your product. And you probably already have that email list lying around somewhere, or maybe you even have them on Slack. So it's just start reaching out to build some volumes. If you're lucky, you're not competing against HubSpot with 10,000 reviews. Hopefully you're in a category that is easier to compete in.
But if you're not, have fun with that too. Like, retarget the companies that are comparing you to the ones that feel like your closest competitors in your category. And if it's HubSpot, why not try an ad that says, okay, we're not HubSpot, but there's every reason, why we're right for you. I mean, think about things like that. There are some very crowded categories and it's hard, but if you're smart about how you retarget the people that are in market and you use, really fun, creative and messaging, you will move the needle. And as far as reviews, it's like you just said, talk to your customers, put it in your monthly customer newsletter. G2 can help you. If you don't have a 5-star rating, don't sweat it. Sometimes the ones that aren't look actually more authentic. And if someone says something that they don't like about your product, take the opportunity to respond on your G2 page and show that you're open and responsive. And that's a good look. That's an honorable thing to do.
Is that kind of best practice to reply to reviews? That's actually something we haven't done that much.
Do it. Yeah. Do it.
Okay.
And do it with, kindness and authenticity and helpfulness, like, let's figure out how to get you an experience that's more in line with what you hoped for,
Does it impact your rank on the category, whether you review or not? I don't know if you're allowed to disclose this even.
What's that? Sorry?
If you reply the reviews on your G2, does that impact
No.
the ranking?
No.
Okay.
No, that doesn't really impact how you rank at all. It just makes you kind of look like a better group of people.
I just wanted to double check that.
Yeah.
I just want to show one last thing. So if you're a Dream Data customer, you can actually extract your G2 data and put into the customer journeys that you already have inside of Dream Data. So I just went to our demo account here. So just zoom in a little bit more on this story. So you can get an API key from G2 where you can extract the data that you have in G2 and put into your customer journeys. So here's a map of somebody starting, this account started directly, somebody had a meeting, somebody had more meetings, somebody searched on Google, but then the G2 sessions is then plotted into the rest of the timeline. And what we actually typically see is that these sessions, you can see that the session actually starts on G2 before it moves into the customer's websites. So it's quite clear that there's like vendor research. Actually, now that I have you, Robin, I've made a quick slideshow of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. If we don't have a case study with you guys, we should get one.
I'm happy to. Let me just show you this one. This is a slideshow here. So when we were like partly evaluating, can you see my screen still, Robin?
It says loading for me, but I see it. Yeah.
This was like last year. We were checking out whether we should, is it worth paying for G2? And we could actually see that the intent signals were the first touch of 4 deals. So these deals that I have marked out here was not really present. We didn't know that they started from G2 before we had access to the data. And then it typically looks something like this. They look at alternatives or G2 categories before these sessions over here there are sessions on the website. And this pattern kind of repeats amongst those deals, that it starts with some category and then some time goes by and then they show up at the doorstep later on.
I love that. It's so clean and uncomplicated, and really tells a story that I think sometimes marketers struggle with, right? Even in 2023, with all this sophisticated tech that we have, we still struggle to tie things together. Even G2, I mean, I'll just say that we're on Visible. I am loving what I'm seeing on Dream Data, and I would love to continue the conversation, Stefan. But it's difficult to put it all together and tell that story, especially in a world where I know in our case we're seeing more and more like just direct, and it's unclear where things are coming from, and the evolution of cookies is changing all that, and I think that's really interesting.
That's a good thing about the intent data, because you get an account name and you get a date of when it did what. And then we use this information to plot into this account's journey. Obviously, it's not always that we can tie a person to it, but we can say that this account that you're looking at also had a touch on G2, progressing down through your buyer's cycle, buyer's journey.
Yeah, it's super important in any ABM model where you are looking at ultimately like account engagement, and we know that there's buying committees. It's not single people, especially as you scale up to enterprise. So I think that's super important.
Wonderful. I think that's it. If people want to ask you a question afterwards, Robin, I guess we'll just tell them that they can try and DM you on LinkedIn and take it from there. I would advise anybody to take a look at the intent data from G2. We're super happy customers of it, and I think from the conversation we've had today, it should be easy to see why many more companies can use this as well.
Cool. Thank you so much. This has been really fun and a good way to try out my new haircut, which I just
good debut on LinkedIn Live. I'll hit end stream now.